Hi, this is George from Tombstone Tactical. We're going to start presenting videos to try and answer a lot of customers' questions that we get on the phone. Today we're going to talk about Glock 19. We want to talk about the part number, we want to talk about the textured coatings, we want to talk about the differences between Gen 4 and Gen 3. When you look at our website, you're going to be able to tell whether the specific Glock you're looking at was made in Austria or if it's made in the United States. If the part number begins with U, that means it was made in the United States. If it begins with a P, it was made in Austria. If the second letter is a G, that means it's 4th generation. If it's an I, that means it's 3rd generation. So you're going to have a UG, a UI, a PG, and a PI. One of the things we want to talk about is the color of the Glock. The traditional Glock, black. All black, pure black. You had no choices. Now you have choices with your Glock. You can get them Cerakoted. These Cerakoted ones are made in the United States. This is actually a Glock 17, but we're using it to show that this is an Austrian model and this is injection molded. So with the United States model, with the Cerakoting is basically a paint. It's going to wear off. And all you're going to see is the black gun underneath. The same thing with the slide. It'll eventually wear off. You'll have holster wear, you'll have grip wear, and this may, it'll look battle worn is what it'll look like, because it'll start coming off slowly but surely. Another thing to notice is on the United States Glocks, the back straps are black. They're not the same color. They're not Cerakoted. Whereas with the injection molded frames, your back straps are going to be the same color as the frame. Okay, another thing I want to point out with the Gen 3s. Gen 3s only come with 2 magazines. Gen 4s, they come with 3 magazines. And another thing is the recoil spring. The recoil spring in the Gen 4 is a double recoil spring. They came up with this double recoil spring because there are snappier cartridges than the 9mm. Now the Glock 19, as you well know, is a 9mm. It also has a double recoil spring. The 9mm is relatively tame as far as recoil, but the 40 Smith & Wesson, it was a little bit sharper, and they wanted to, tame that down, so they put in a double recoil springs. Later in the video, we will show you the difference between the single recoil spring and the double recoil spring on the 19. Okay. Here's one of the reasons, or the main reason, why Gen 3 and Gen 4 slides are not interchangeable. You cannot take a Gen 4 slide and put it on a Gen 3 or vice versa. Recoil spring. As you can see, the Gen 3 has a single recoil spring. If you come over here to the Gen 4, you can see a double recoil spring. Now these are both Model 19s. Just 2 different generations. Like I said previously, the double recoil spring was meant for snappier rounds like the 40 Smith & Wesson, and it came back down into the 9mm also. The 9mm by itself isn't that snappy, but they decided to continue on, do the whole line for Gen 4s with the double recoil spring. Another thing we want to talk about is the difference in mag release. Okay, on the Gen 3, I don't know if you can see it, but this is the mag release right here. It's just a little button. Okay, boom. Just hit it, and your magazine is going to drop out. Okay, on the Gen 4, if you can see it, the mag release is about 3 times bigger. So you've got plenty of room to hit it. Okay, this is a Gen 3 mag release. See how small it is? Okay, if you come over here to the Gen 4, you can see it's 3 times the size of the Gen 3. It's also ambidextrous. You can take this out and swap it over to the other side for a left-handed shooter. Okay, another thing I want to talk about is the back straps on the Gen 4. These are designed to accommodate different size hands. Now my hand, the standard grip on my Gen 3, it works fine for me. I'm quite comfortable with it. But there could be people with smaller hands that may want a smaller back strap, basically to be able to grip the gun better. Or people with larger hands. Okay? And like I said, Gen 3 does not have these. It is what it is. You know, you live with it. Okay, another thing we can talk about is the slide finishes. This is a standard Glock. It's got a basically it's a battle-worn nitride finish on it, and it really looks sharp as you look at it. And you get the Cerakoted job, and then just a standard plain black nitride. Okay, and another thing people ask about is the Glock Grease. The Glock puts their own special grease on the guns when they come from the factory. It's a copper-coated grease. It's nothing to worry about. It's just Glock's way of greasing their guns up. You know, you may use something different, like an RTF or something like that. Just a standard grease or oil on the slide is fine. Okay, another thing people ask about is break-in period. There really is no break-in period for a Glock. They don't have anything in the Glock manual about break-in period. It's not necessary. But what you need to be aware of, different ammunition. You need to test out what ammunition is gonna run reliably through your Glock. Okay, whether it be a hollow point or it be a full metal jacket. These are the things you have to take into consideration. Different manufacturers, they make their ammunition different. And for the most part, every time you pull the trigger on a Glock, it's going to go bang. But if it doesn't go bang, the first thing you want to do is check your ammunition. Okay, if you ask me what kind of a Glock I would buy today, to be honest with you, I'd probably stick with my Gen 3. That's what I own. I don't need the extra back straps on them. I may go with a Cerakote color, or I may go with injection molded if I wanted a flat dark earth, just something different. I mean, you know, I have seen battle-worn red Cerakote jobs coming from Glock. It's all a matter of personal preference. To me, I like my black Glock. Okay, one of the things we want to talk about is the serial number on the Cerakote models. As you can see, they painted over the serial number. That's because they're, you know, it's just a paint, and they didn't, you know, mask that out. If you go over here to the injection molded, you can see the serial number is very visible. Okay, another thing that Glock came out with the Gen 4 is what they call an MOS version, where it has a removable plate to put a reflex sight like a Vortex Venom. And you can see that the rear sight is placed a little bit further back. And if you get any aftermarket sights, they may hang over. You just have to be aware they may hang over the back of the slide. Now, this is not an MOS version, and you can see the difference. Whereas the non-MOS, the slide is forward. And if you got the aftermarket sights, it would not hang over the back of the slide. Okay, another thing we want to point out in the differences between the Gen 3 is the ejector. This is called a 336 ejector. It is not as beefy as over here on the Gen 4. This is called a 30274 ejector, and if you look at it closely, you'll see it's a little bit beefier. Okay, that's going to be it for this video. This is, like I said, this is our first video, and hopefully we'll be able to generate more as the days progress. You know, we're talking about maybe new guns to hit the market, like, you know, maybe talking about the Saint or maybe a new SIG that comes on the market. What we want is we want your feedback. So we want your suggestions for new material. We want your feedback on whether you agree the video was helpful or not. And please just send an email to us, sales@tombstonetactical.com, and put attention video on the subject line so that we are sure to get your comments. Thank you and have a good day.